Hello everyone. So this is my first time doing stand-up, and what people actually mean when they say that is that they're really terrified. You know, they're like, oh, I'm so excited, but that's just a lie. So I am terrified. I'm totally terrified right now. And I just want to say that it was actually really funny for me this whole week when there were the posters out, because I would have a lot of people, like my friends, come up to me and be like, Marie, I saw your name on a poster for Spike. Are you doing stand-up? And like giving me that look, you know, the kind of like, and like, I'd be like, yeah, I think so, you know, unless this is like a really funny joke by Peter where he's like putting my name, because I obviously would never be doing this. So yeah, obviously it's not that, because I'm here today, even though I'm really, really terrified. So one first thing that I want to talk about that I find really interesting here is appearances. I'm sure you guys have all experienced this, like people really judge you on how you look. And one thing that I got a lot when I first came here was like people would come up to me and be like, oh my god, Marie, like you look so dressed up. And I'd look at them and they'd be in their pajamas and I'd be like, well, I changed when I got out of bed and you didn't. So I guess, you know, it's not that hard. Yeah. Another thing that I really want to talk about is there was, I don't know if you guys know the most fashionable Swati of the week thing in the Phoenix. Yeah. I was recently in it, and I just want to correct something because Camilla Ryder, who wrote the article, she's really nice, but she basically kind of insinuated that I dressed well because I was French. And I just want to say there's probably a correlation, but there's no causation relationship. Because when I was in middle school, I could probably have been voted the worst dressed person. My mom still kind of dressed me, so I had like those flowery shirts. But then I had kind of like a rebel period, so I started wearing them with like really baggy jeans and like huge Nike trainers. So I looked like kind of like a gangster version of Dora the Explorer. So yeah, that was, yeah, I had no sense of style at that point. I feel like I don't really have good transitions, so I'm just going to jump to another topic. So yeah, another thing that really interests me is relationships between men and women. You know, we've all experienced it. It's really awkward. Like, you know, when you start being friends with a guy, there's like that awkwardness of like, will he like me? Do I like him? And, like, you never really know and stuff.
Heteronormative.
Oh, right. No. I know. I'm being kind of heteronormative. I actually thought of this, but I feel like I can't. From experience, I can only speak from my own experience, so I don't want to like, you know, anyway, but I totally, I hear you.
I statements.
So yeah, and I was really sad because like I realized recently that I had like practically no straight like guy friends, and so I was complaining to this girlfriend, and I was like, you know, what's wrong? Like, why don't I have any really good straight friends? And she's like, well, you know, Marie, like guys, like, you know, they'll just like want to hook up with you. They won't want to like get to know you and stuff. I was like, that's really sad, you know, like I don't think that's true. And so you know, I was like, all right, I'm gonna put her theory to the test. I'm gonna try and be friends with a guy that I recently hooked up with. So I basically, this guy, I like kind of didn't really know him, hooked up with him randomly at Paces, you know, the usual. And so I went to his room, you know, like kind of like a week after I hooked up with him, and like, you know, I'd seen him around, said hi, and I was like, you know, he looks kind of nice, you know, he could be a cool person. So I went to his room and talked to him, and I was like, you know, I know it's awkward, you know, we hooked up, and like I don't really know you, but I think you look like a really decent guy, blah blah blah. And then, you know, I went on this like really cool spiel where I was like, I think men and women can be friends, and like they just have to be honest with one another, the intentions and stuff. Yeah, and then we made out. So I don't think that turned out too well, but you know, it could work. Another thing that I really like about Swarthmore is Sharple States. I don't know if any of you have been on Sharple States before. Yeah. Anyway, I think they're like a test of how much awkwardness you can fit into like a 30-minute span of time. Because basically, you know, it's like you come into Sharples, you swipe together, you're like, oh my god, like who's gonna be there? Who's gonna see me? Like, is that guy that I used to like gonna see me and be jealous? Or are my friends gonna see me and make fun of me afterwards? You know, and so you're really anxious, and then like you have to choose where you're gonna eat. So depending on what you want your relationship to be with that person, you know, you choose which room you're going to be in. So if you're like envisioning them as more kind of like a hookup buddy and you kind of want to show them off because they're really hot, you take them to the, the big room. If you want, really get to know them, or if they're really ugly, you take them to the middle room or the small room. Yeah, and the awkwardness doesn't stop there, because then you have to go get food. And then, I don't know how to explain this, there's this thing that happens when you enter the serving area, where you bump into that person at every single stand of food where you go. Like the salad bar, you end up next to them or across from them, or in line, and you have to say hi, I'm on a date with you. I think that's pretty cool. And then you have to sit down, and you never know when you go and sit if the person's still going to be there, it was already going to be there, if you're going to have to wait, you're going to have to look cool, you don't really care, when they get there, just eating, whatever, normal. Or there are some people that I really like that manage to time it so that they get there at the same time as you. They've been observing you, while you're making your sandwich, and they're at the drinks thing, and they're all right, she's coming. And then I think one of the biggest challenges of a Sharple state is when you actually sit down and have to manage to talk about interesting things and eat at the same time. It's extremely hard, especially when you're eating food like spinach, which you're really afraid will get in your teeth, or spaghetti, unless you want to reenact The Lady and the Tramp, which I don't recommend. So yeah, that's all I've got for today, but thanks a lot.